back to Sky and Thread. I am Kelly, and I'm super excited to do a flip through and first impressions of the Gothmancy Tarot for you today. I have been waiting for this ever since the first edition. Like, I was kind of always waiting to jump in on it, and I just never got the chance, either because of financial reasons or timing constraints or whatever. So when the artist put the second pressing up on Kickstarter, I was like, I'm not gonna miss out this time. So I jumped in on that, and I just recently got it in the mail. So I'm super excited to go over it with you guys. So stick around. So this is my Gothmancy second printing. I believe the Kickstarter called it the Rise of the Elder Goths. There is some issues with like the rose petal finish is kind of, if you get some smudges or fingerprints on it, they are not coming off. You know, it's got a few dents and stuff, but I am just being like very nitpicky because, you know, I deal with a lot of decks, and I think for this channel I want to give you guys the most information I can. It's got like nicks and stuff in it. It came that way. You know, if there's any natural oils on your hands at all, it's going to show it. It's going to show scuffs. I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but it's there. And like I said, but I mean, the denting, I'm not going to fault the creator for. Like, I work for the post office. I know how they treat things. That's how it is. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, so the box, it's funny. I was just listening to Lisa Papez do a walkthrough on another deck, and she was talking about how she didn't like how this part of the magnetic closure was glued, so you can't truly open it without feeling like you're gonna kind of like crack it. Like, it doesn't quite open flat for you. It may with time, but you're really gonna have to work it. And I kind of understand what she's coming from now. Like, it would be nice if this just opened all the way instead of being, you know, if this folded flat instead of being glued up here. Again, I think that's a manufacturer thing. I don't think the creator had any control over that, but maybe, you know, for future pressings, if you guys consider a different manufacturer, because this is, it's not the easiest to try to get your cards out. So, but they did put a ribbon. The actual artwork on the box is beautiful. I love it. You know, it gives you 100% of what this deck is right from the beginning. I will say the title for Gothmancy is just like a little hard to read there. It would be nice if it was in white or red or just something that had more contrast from that blue. But, you know, it's a nice ribbon. It's got like, not felt, like velveteen or something, like faux velveteen. It's fuzzy. It's cute. I love the roses. I mean, the artwork on the box is beautiful. I mean, I bought this deck because I love the artwork and I love what it's about. This is just a little note that kind of warns us that there was a printing error on the 4 of Cups. I also have another issue on one of my other cards. When we flip through, I will point it out. I think it's one of my swords. But there's like an imperfection on that card too. But what can you do? It seems like they had printing errors and issues, but they didn't want to hold the deck up anymore. And I know that's always a crossroads. That's hard to choose, you know, so they're doing their best. And, you know, with Kickstarter, you're not always promised an item at all. You're pledging to help create said thing, but it doesn't mean they have to give it to you. So the fact that they still try to work out something they could give us, I'm very appreciative of that. So I don't want to sound ungrateful just because I'm kind of nitpicking a few errors. Again, I know it's not always the creator's fault. It's a lot of manufacturing issues, especially right now. Like, manufacturers are under a lot of stress to get stuff out. It's like they are really, really overloaded. So there's a lot going on. It's very complex problems. So, but yeah. So but they did a nice little thank you, and I appreciate that. I keep that with the deck. Okay, the book is great. Okay, I like that they give us a little fold here so you don't have to crack the spine. The book has so much information on the card, on the artist or the pop culture or goth culture reference they used in the card. They have reverse meanings. I don't know, like symbology, certain symbology they want you to pay attention to, kind of like alchemy and the occult references. It's so good. There are like if you want to make a song inspiration playlist, they have that in here for almost all the cards, if not all the cards. I haven't checked every single one yet, but most of the ones I've checked have a song reference. So I'm definitely going to make that playlist because that looks great. I don't know, there's just so much of the creator's own work and opinions and inspiration in here. This book is amazing. Amazing. I actually would love if it was an even bigger book, like a full-size book, with all the information packed in here. It's great. Okay, so yeah. Now, onto the cards. Now, I will be honest, I am kind of more of a goth adjacent person. I love a lot of goth culture. I'm not the biggest participant in it. I'm definitely more like rock and punk in my background. I was definitely like a new metal and a metalcore kid. Oh, I'm still a metalcore kid. As much as I'm like K-pop, I'm also like, I like heavy stuff. Punk inspired heavy stuff. You know, and industrial. A lot of that stuff I am familiar with and know songs from these artists, even though I wasn't like a huge, I wouldn't say I was a huge fan that followed the artist's career, but I am familiar with them and I do like songs from said artists. So there's a lot I recognize in here, but there's also a lot I don't, that I'm eager to kind of dig my teeth into more of. So I will be right up front there. I don't pretend to be goth or have been a goth ever in my life, though I had friends that were, and I do really appreciate a lot of goth culture and find it very interesting and very cool. So yeah, I'm going to appreciate this deck, but I also love that I have a lot to learn from this deck, especially in the music realm. Like, chef's kiss, I love it. So okay, I'm gonna kind of go through this and just talk about the cards I really, really like, and maybe a couple of the cards that I had issues with. But none of them really because of the artwork, because I think this person, the creator, what was her name? Stephanie Aaliyah. They really put a lot of thought and time into creating these cards, so I don't think they're lacking in symbology in any way. A lot of cool stuff. Believe some of these cards are more like story cards. There's like a story of these children. Yeah, the little gothlings are called White and Persephone. So yeah, there's so much. I'm gonna constantly be referencing this book. And then we have the High Priestess. I want to think I read something in reference to Blondie, so I don't know if it's supposed to be Deborah Harry kind of depicted here. But either way, really cool. You know, the Empress sitting on her throne. We got the Man in Black himself, Johnny Cash, as the Emperor. Really, really cool. His Ring of Fire halo, like, just, I love it. I don't know if this is a deck I would read for clients, but it's definitely going to be one I read for me. And, like, having, like, a song of the day and stuff. Just so good. So good. I love it. Just, yeah. And the little gothlings are back. We got some Susie. I know they say who the man is too, but my brain is not remembering. The Sphinx pulling the chariot too is really, really cool. I like that it's kind of like a Twilight background. He's on his like little scooter. Strength card. Looks so gentle. It's just like really like a tender moment instead of like a powerful moment. It's almost like this tender, careful, like, it's almost like she's helping him with like a problem, like he's got a tooth that needs to be pulled out or something, and she's checking it for him. I don't know, there's like a tenderness to this card that I really appreciate. I thought this was Edgar Allan Poe for the Hermit, but I kind of want to see what it says. Oh, it's Tom Waits. I'm sorry, it's Tom Waits. But I feel like Edgar Allan Poe would also work really well. I feel like I'm going to know it's Tom Waits, but my brain's going to say it's Edgar Allan Poe every time I see this card. So I apologize in advance. But either way, I love it. And I do know who Tom Waits is. Although I guess I just didn't remember what he looked like at all. So there's a lot of that too. A lot of these references are like 80s and 90s and even some 70s references. So I was young. I was young at that point. But also being young at that point also tells you that... like I said, they titled it correctly when they said Elder Goths, because we're getting old, man. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Really cool depiction of the four animals. If you know, the eagle, the bull, the lion, and the human. Very, very good. Around the wheel. This was another one where they're dressed up, I think, as a goddess, but I don't remember What goddess? Am I out of focus again? Okay. I don't remember what goddess though. Hanged Man. A lot of these I have looked up for artists I wasn't familiar with. Death looks really cool. That Temperance card, it has so many like Thoth like art feelings to me. It feels very like Thoth based, even though, you know, it's not. It's just like the interpretation of it to me feels like it resonates more with the art than Temperance. But it's so much life, death, creation, destruction, you know, finding the balance your left hand creates, or, you know, your left hand takes, your right hand creates. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much of that I really like in this card. There's still a lot to dig into. You know, the crow, the carrion feeder feeding off the skull. We have the devil. I think this is supposed to be Duran. No, not Duran. Depeche Mode. I think it's supposed to be Depeche Mode in that one. Then we have our Ziggy Stardust, our David Bowie card for the star, which is perfect. Perfect. Ground control to Major Tom. Yes, I love it. I love it so much. The Gothlings and Robert again for the moon. So I like there's also some continuation of story that connects some of these cards. So if those cards, like the Gothlings, come up repeatedly in drawings, like it would definitely draw my attention to like reading their journey a little bit. Like I think that's really cool to follow them through the deck. We got our Toriyama's. And while these cards are very matte, which I love, they still are like kind of slippery in a way. Like if you watched the flip through, they kind of still slide a lot. So it's great for shuffling. I like cards that are kind of slippery when you're going to shuffle because they shuffle well. But sometimes when you're trying to set them down, they just fly away. Judgment's really cool. Again, I don't know who everyone is. I love this Ace of Swords, how it's like the different person in the reflection. So something about the skull makes me, like, brings me to this really Shakespearean place when I look at this card. Like, is it Hamlet when they have the skull they're talking to? I can't remember. Alas, poor Yorick, you know? And we have our kind of very traditional Three of Swords. I know Three of Swords is a hard card for a lot of people to change. I think a lot of artists get stuck on like, how can I like visually represent the, you know, what this card depicts. I also think a lot of people kind of get stuck on it meaning only like a broken relationship. I think because it's often titled like sorrow and disappointment, people can kind of get stuck on that. But one of the things I've been really working on is getting the astrological associations down. And I believe it's Libra and Saturn. So to me, lately it's been meaning like, stop putting everybody else before yourself, you know, and things like that. Like, I think there's a lot of cool ways people could look at the Three of Swords if they kind of got out of the traditional RWS depiction. It's nice, but I'm kind of sick of everything else in a deck being really creative and really cool, and then the Three of Swords is exactly an RWS clone. Like, I know it's hard, but I feel like we can do it. We can do it, right? It's tough. I know it's tough. And I'm probably being very hypocritical because I haven't created a deck, so, you know, you still have my utmost respect, but I'm just putting it out there into the universe, hoping, like, to manifest more Three of Swords that don't have just the heart with the swords in it. So, side tangent over. We got some Grace Jones being cool as heck, like she always has been. Oh, the dragons in this are so cool. Oh, this is also the one. This is the one that has that issue on, I don't know if you can see the bottom of this card. has like an imperfection. So I don't know if anybody else has this deck. If you guys have the same, let me know if it's just a thing with mine or if it's a whole thing. Did I get the cups? I haven't done the cups yet. Okay. I gotta remember when we get to the cups to show the typing error on that too. So definitely got some really, really cool depictions here. You know, this one especially reminds me of the painting, the famous painting with the demon on their chest. It's almost like the sword in dropping here at the bottom, it's almost like they're fighting to pull the swords away. They're fighting against that nightmare, but they're still got like obviously a long way to go and they're having resistance. So I kind of like that. That actually adds to that card for me. Like, it's something small, but it really adds. Like, it really gives you something else to draw from, and I like that. It's like saying, you can do it. You just have to fight. You have to want it, you know? Yeah. I believe that one was supposed to be Sex Pistols, which I think was cool. This one has a name I can't say because YouTube will probably not like it. But also really, really cool to see some of these foreign artists, you know, in there. Because I feel like a lot of goth is very like Europe and American like centric, even though, you know, there's always a lot more. I wanted to think this was Peter Steele. I could be wrong. Again, I could be like projecting who I want it to be. Knight of Wands. Let's see. Typo negative. Yeah, it's Peter Steele. Okay. I got one. Hey. Yeah, just that face was very... And then this one with the tambourine. That's got to be like Stevie Nicks, right? To me, this was a lot of fun doing that. Yeah, Stevie Nicks. It was a lot of fun being like the Guess Who and seeing if I was right or wrong. This feels like it's Mary Shelley because it's literary and she's holding the book and it's got Frankenstein. So I'm almost positive this was a literary reference to Mary Shelley, which is really cool. I want to see just what they said about it. Why is my ace? Oh, how did it? Oh, I don't know how that got out of line there. I thought I put it in order. Whoops. I thought it was still in order, so I apologize if I got it out of order, guys. Excuse me. So yeah, it's Mary Shelley. So I like the goth literature references, the goth, like the true like gothic. So like I said, I'd love to see Edgar Allan Poe and Bram Stoker and some of those people in it. I don't know if they are, and I just missed them because I haven't read on every single card yet, but I'm going to, trust me. I don't know who this is, but it looks like a raging party I want to go to. And then this looks like it's Lydia from Beetlejuice with this banded snake around her. I don't know who everybody... I'm guessing that's still the people from the movie around her. And Prodigy. Interesting for the 10 of Wands, because I would have figured this would have been a good 8 of Wands being like the fire starter. So I'll have to read up on why they picked the 10 of Wands for Prodigy, because my brain, that's just not a choice I would have made, but I'm sure there's a good reason, so I'm gonna read it and find out. But yeah, Prodigy is like, to me that's a very like high energy, but maybe that's what you need to get the job done, you know? Divine. Looking fabulous. My brain went to Dragon Force. I know that is wrong. It's where just my brain went. Oh, Boy George. Okay, yeah. Classic. Gary Newman. Again, more that I'm not super familiar with. Oh, I think here's the 4 of Cups here. So you can see on the 4 of Cups that we're missing the P and the S, or at least partially the P, and then the whole S is missing. So it's one of those things that sometimes imperfections make things more collectible down the road. Sometimes they don't, you know. But it's one of those things that's like, it gives it character, it makes it yours, it makes it unique. Let's see, yeah, we're getting into a stretch where I don't know everyone. Oops. Again, I thought this might have been the Cure as well for this card. We got Mr. Al Jorgensen. Again, I do know some industrial stuff. I don't know. I know Coming Up is one of my favorite movies ever. I wanted to think this was Vincent Price, so I want to look that one up too. The Ace of Pentacles. Yeah. Okay, so it's The Monster Mash by Bobby Pickett. So I'd have to look up what he looks like, because again, I'm very familiar with The Monster Mash, but I have no idea what that man looked like. It was a little bit before my time, I guess. Again, a bunch of artists I really want to check out. We know the Misfits. And yeah, this is probably my favorite card in the whole deck, is the Crow, the Eric Draven card. That was an obsession for me as a young adult, that movie. I don't want to tell you the embarrassing number of times I've watched it. And probably watch it still at least once a year. And I've seen all the sequels. Just about, I think. Maybe not the most recent, but I've seen a lot of them. So, yeah. And we have The Craft. When I say bisexual awakening, we can put The Craft in that list of movies for sure. Goodness, I probably haven't seen as many times as The Crow, but a fair amount. And then we have Miss Elvira. I remember her. I feel like there was a period in the 80s where, like, Saturday or Sunday mornings, there was like Elvira. There was a guy called like the not the Undertaker, maybe he was, or Paul Bearer. He was called Paul Bearer, and he was like an Undertaker, and there was like all this like super kind of horror inspired but like campy horror television, like for almost the time kids were up in the morning on the weekends here. And it was so I think is why I always appreciated like dark art, dark music, dark humor, because it was very normal for me coming up as a kid. It wasn't scary. It was like, it was on when cartoons were on. So yeah, Elvira was like this person that was just so cool to me as a kid. I was just like, wow. You know, she was just out there. She was like the goth Dolly Parton, you know what I mean? Like, I just loved her. Like, they were mirror images to me of each other. So, and then yeah, the Addams Family, also great television. So yeah, this really hits home in a lot of ways, and this video is probably extra long because you're gonna go down memory lane with me, but you know, when I say I'm giving my honest first impressions, that's what I'm doing. I might see if I can cut some of it out for time's sake, but you know, I want you guys to go down memory road with me and like share your history with these figures, and share your love of these topics. You know, how goth were you? I just think I always circled around it, always enjoyed it, but I never partook like fully. I was always kind of more punky, more like a metal kid, but it was always there, and it was always really cool. And I'm gonna learn a lot from this deck, and I like that. And I also like that it kind of brings me back too. So thank you so much. Thank you to the creators for making this deck. I'm really gonna enjoy working with it, and I'll probably post some updates of me working with it in the future. And, you know, if you haven't, let me know what you think. And how accurate the depictions are, or in the guidebook, how accurate is the symbolism to you, you know. I like that it's not so reliant on RWS that it feels like a clone. It does have a lot of symbolism you should recognize. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm going to probably use it more like I read Pip and Marseille until I get better with this book, which I do plan to, but that's going to just take me a while. Like I said, I just wish this book was bigger so it's a little more comfortable to hold while I do a lot of reading, because I do want to deep dive into this book. So, yeah, I'm going to have a good time. Oh, did I show you guys that it's also hollow foil edged? I hope you can see that. It's really pretty. I love that, and the background. I think when you ordered the Kickstarter, you could get it just black or hollow, but I'm like, I want rainbows. I want the dark rainbows, man. Just me. We'll see how it holds up over time. I know some of the gilding, hollow gilding doesn't hold up great, but I just thought it was too pretty to pass up. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys are having a great day, and let's see if I can get these cards back in here. I hope you're having a great day. Get in here. And I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.